totally swallowed my spit down the wrong pipe, and I'm trying not to go. I'm getting the illness that I know. I knew you were going to say. Is anybody else hot in here? But
if you can't see this, but it's extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah,
David is zombie coughing.
Yeah, and I'm really sweaty right now.
Alex's hand on his crotch. It's weird for me sitting.
Now you know why I'm sweating.
Welcome to episode 33 of the BrownCast Ultra podcast, the official podcast of BrownCast Ultra. With you as always, I'm Kyle.
I'm Alec.
And this week we have a special guest with us today.
David Grayson.
David Grayson, everybody.
Star of Walking Across the Street and Straight Outta Compton.
That's very true.
Star.
Hey, I pointed it out and you totally noticed it. So
there you go.
There
you go. A bona fide extra of. That's where we're at in the podcast now. We've been doing this for a year now. Like, people are coming. Like David's like, oh guys, I've never met you before, and I love the podcast. And I'd love to be on. I've never been on your podcast before.
I'm so new to this. Why is there a microphone here?
What is this? A sound fort?
Is this like some sort of studio film? It's like, it's not a film. It's just a podcast. So when's the film coming out? But man. When you said that, though, when you go a bona fide extra, I was like, this is why my parents don't support the dream. That's exactly what... I was like, when you said a bona fide extra, I was like, man, I've never wanted to be more suicidal than right at that moment. Like, I have accomplished nothing. Anyways.
Well, you
I have a lot of actors sitting in their basements right now, listening to this podcast, who are like, man... fucker. I'm gonna do the David Cross thing. They come from Edmond, Oklahoma. They come from Norman. They come from Tulsa. Hey, guy sitting in Enid, you can do it.
No, I mean, David, I don't think you understand how many people we reject on a basis. I mean, like George Clooney, no.
He's married. Who wants that anymore?
Yeah.
All the sex appeal went out the window.
You know, all the cast of like Whiplash want to be on here. Not a chance.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons. It's like, so you got your Oscar, but it ain't BrownCast material.
BrownCast material.
We promoted you, and that's all you get.
And that kid from Whiplash completely undid that with the Fantastic Four.
Oh, it's poor Miles. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, what a jump down.
Josh Trank fought to get him. They didn't want him, and the movie Fox didn't want him to be in it. They fought for him to be in it. But part of the story is that he fought for Miles Teller to be in it, but the studio he didn't want Kate Mara to be in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so they forced her into it, and so Josh Trank was just like a dick to her, like the whole time, to the point. And then if you're Miles Teller, and you know that like the reason you got to be in this movie is because she got to be in this movie, he's like, hey, don't be a dick to her.
See,
and cause
the thing about was it Josh Trank?
Yeah.
Okay,
director,
sorry.
Yeah.
But what was the name of the guy? Do you happen to know the name of the actor that I'm
Miles Teller.
Miles Teller.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what it is about that guy, but for some weird reason, they think that it's like everybody's under the illusion that he looks better and acts better than he does. And I don't know what that is. It's like some performances I do really, really like him in, but he seems like he would be like that, like a jerk to like other castmates, or he seems like he would be kind of snooty. I don't know.
No,
like,
Josh Trank was the one.
Oh, Josh Trank.
Yeah, the director was the jerk.
Well, I still stand by him.
He was like,
yeah.
Well, he does have a reputation, from what I've read, of being like a real like sarcastic, like cut up and stuff on set. And which kind of fits. I mean, it's usually a lot of the
he's
personas
just goofy.
he plays.
It's like he's goofy and weird, and he seems like the guy who, it's like it goes beyond being funny on set to where it's like just a delay of doing work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what it always
is.
Like
it's fun for a time, and then it just kind of is like, oh, okay, like enough. Yeah. Like I get it. You're now holding up production with your humor.
Yeah.
I only say that from experience.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm that guy.
Starting beefs right here.
A hot young actor.
We'll cut this out. Don't worry.
He's kind of like a hot young actor. So I could see how like it's almost like controversial whether or not he's actually any good. Like we don't know yet.
It's too hit or miss because
someday he'll he'll either be in like a real this really good movie, plays this like really good role very well, or
Fantastic.
The opposite,
You know when I think he's really going to come into his own, honestly, is I think he's definitely a good actor, and I'm definitely positive of that. But in the same way that Shia LaBeouf is a good actor now, it's that he's just got to mature, get some facial hair, some scruff going, and age a little bit because he's too youthful looking for the roles in which he's portraying. Does that make any sense?
That does make sense. And Shia LaBeouf, I think that was a good good
example.
Yeah.
Because, they're fairly similar in size, height, acting style. They're kind of goofy, like I said. Shia LaBeouf used to be considered pretty goofy.
Yeah.
But then he does something like Fury or, Nymphomaniac or something like that, and he starts kind of doing the whole Miley Cyrus, like, I'm not Hannah Montana anymore, I'm Miley Cyrus. You know what I mean? Like, you go from the clean cut you to the real you.
Yeah. And now he motivates us all.
Well, Yeah. Do it! Yesterday, you said today! Or what does he say?
I don't even...
Or today, you said yesterday. So just shut up and do it! Yeah, that's an annoying video. But anyway, but like I was saying, I think he's just too young for some of the roles he plays. For instance, like the Fantastic Four. I know you guys have already talked about this in the previous episode, in which you were talking about Fantastic Four. But realistically, he was probably 15 years younger than the character should have been.
Yeah.
And that we were used to. I mean, yeah. But, some of the other ones, like the Human Torch, you know what I mean? That character's
he is supposed to be younger.
Yeah, he's supposed to be younger, and he's kind of the... Wasn't he like the brother? Isn't he supposed to be the brother of the Invisible One?
Well, he is in the movie.
They're adopted?
They're adopted, yeah.
Well, what a fun twist.
Yeah.
Really threw me for a loop, you guys, with that creative license. But...
It was very controversial. Like, honestly, so many people were so mad. Like, Human Torch is black.
Kate Mara. I thought that was a great casting choice.
Yeah. Way to go, Fox. Like studio. Well, we should move on to in lieu of news this week because it was it's generally like entertainment news has been extremely slow lately. I mean, rest in peace, Wes Craven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, say that
horror movie extraordinaire.
Yeah, that still makes me sad every time I see that. I'm like, oh, he's actually gone. So that was sad. But besides that, there's really not much going on. So in this episode, we're just going to do another extended recommendation segment. We're going to talk about a couple things. A movie called Fargo. You might have heard of it.
It's only almost 20 years old. You might have heard of it 20 years ago.
We're going to break down the new, highly anticipated series, Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Not to be confused with the show, The Walking Dead.
This time you're afraid of them.
Yes, this is the show that you should be afraid of.
Because the other show, no one's afraid of them.
Yeah,
it's just established they're afraid.
They're just like,
it's just established like, hey, you woke up in the middle of it.
It's just like
it kind of goes without saying.
No, it's just in the original series, every character needed to be like zombies.
Oh my god, fucking Mondays.
But yeah, well. Okay, you were continuing. Sorry, you said
Fargo,
so
we're going to do The Walking Dead, and then we're going to talk about the new HBO miniseries that just ended this last weekend, Show Me a Hero.
Good stuff.
So we will go ahead and start off with Alex's introduction of Fargo.
So, Fargo is a 1996 film made by the Coen brothers.
You might have heard of them.
You might have heard of them. And it essentially is... It's hard to describe Fargo and make it, sound appealing off of, a small description. But essentially, it's like a murder in a small Minnesota town.
North Dakota? Yeah,
No,
Fargo.
it's Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Right?
Yeah.
Or is it North Dakota?
Fargo's in North Dakota. That's what somebody was telling me.
I have no idea.
I mean, granted, they are in Minnesota for portions of the film, but I believe it's Fargo, North Dakota. But,
very, very little of the film actually takes place in Fargo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right, because they have a Minnesota accent.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I got Minnesota.
I don't actually.
But
know.
I said it to somebody after I watched it with Alec.
North Dakota. Fargo is in North Dakota.
Woo! David with the geography.
But so. It is mainly about...
Geography consultant for BrownCast Ultra.
It is about one murder that kind of snowballs into this whole big fiasco for this small town detective. And let me make sure I'm not saying the wrong name.
Oh. No, I know who you're talking about. It's Frances, yeah.
Oh, the actress is Frances McDormand.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it was Frances.
I thought you were going for the character name. Frances McDormand plays a
Marge Gunderson.
Marge Gunderson,
Hey there, Marge.
Pregnant female chief of police for the town. It's the town that Paul Bunyan's from, right? Or whatever. Yeah.
No,
not like the real Paul Bunyan, because that's
Brainerd.
not a thing.
Brainerd.
Yeah. So she's a chief of police for a small town called Brainerd, and she is brought in to investigate this murder. And it's kind of this if you've ever seen a Coen Brothers movie before, it's always these very quirky, very unique characters.
I mean,
in these kind of crazy situations that involve a lot of death.
Obviously, I think we should definitely point out that this movie came out in 1996. So if we spoil anything, that's on you. All right. I mean,
I'm down for that. Yeah,
because,
I'm down for that.
Because I totally know that a lot of people did watch this movie. Now, although millennials, I guess today, probably have no clue what it is except for the TV show that was on FX. Or that is on FX. Is it still going?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Season 1. It's it's one of those shows where it's going to be kind of far in between each season because they really put a lot of effort into it, and I would highly recommend the first season of that show. It was fantastic, especially if you like the movie, because a lot of those same elements are in it. But
because that's what my worry was, and I'm sure anybody listening who has seen the movie and really enjoyed the movie, if they haven't watched the show, it's probably because they're worried about it ruining their feelings towards the movie. There are a lot of shows that do that for me. A lot
of shows that are kind of cheap imitations of
they don't have the same feel. They didn't have the returning actors, you know what I mean? So it's sort of thanks but no thanks. I get the attempt, but why ruin something that's great? And Alex said at the very end of that movie, you said something like, "Wow, that movie was so sweet. I don't even think I need to brush my teeth."
Yeah, it's one of those things because Kyle was talking about with all these quirky characters. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's in despite of this murder and all this crazy crap that's going on, and there's a lot of crazy scenes. You've got this character like Marge, who is the absolutely most lovable.
You fall in love with her away.
Small town girl, and everyone's so folksy. Everyone is so goddamn folksy.
Yeah, I mean, but I honestly kind of love that about the movie. I love how, because it's so rare to meet people like that when you actually see people acting that way, you almost wish you knew somebody.
Yeah.
Like that, because you're like, man, I wish people were that civil to each other, even if a murder just happened. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just investigating. I found 3 bodies out in the cold, and I wasn't really sure what to think about that. So while they're thawing out in the car, I was wondering if you happen to see any suspicious behavior. If not, that's okay. That's fine. I'll just have a cup of coffee over here. I'm like, what
the way she's introduced, it's like she gets the phone call about the dead bodies, and it's like, oh, I've got to go, and her husband's like, no, you need a good breakfast.
Yeah, he's
so
like, I'll make you. He gets up, he's like, I'll make you some eggs.
Yeah. Oh, and then she goes out to the car, comes back 10 seconds later, and goes, car needs to jump.
Yeah.
It's literally like sickly adorable.
It is very. I hesitate to use the word realistic because like the situation and stuff, the things that happen, but the characters themselves
within that world, in that context, I think that is how people in that area would react, and also it showed how damn good at their job they were because they come up. This entire scene plays out. This big whole. We have this woman kidnapped in the back of our car. Somebody drives by while we shot this cop who pulled us over because we didn't have plates. I never put plates on the car just because it's a stolen car. And he probably will only give me a ticket for it. He gets caught trying to bribe the cop with a $50 bill. Pretty lame way to bribe a cop if you are going to do one.
Very lame.
And in Pleasantville... they need a lot more money than that to make him smile. I mean, this cop comes up, he's like, hey there, I just noticed you didn't have any plates. You mind, whatever. Nicest cop in the world. That one dude, who plays the guy who kills the cop, the big Russian guy?
It is Peter Stormare.
Okay.
Yeah. Stormare.
That guy, I mean, he always ends up playing a Russian. I don't know if he really is Russian. Or not.
I really don't think he is.
But I don't think he is. I thought he was like German or something like that.
He was born in Sweden.
Sweden. Okay, so he's like my buddy Frank. Well, my buddy Frank's from Sweden. You don't know that, but
I kind of picked it.
I had a Fargo reaction to that. Oh, he's like my buddy Frank.
Oh yeah.
I know a guy named Frank who's from Sweden. He's a pretty swell fella.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What you got?
Favorite, they're like repetitions where she's just going, oh yeah.
Hey, I think we should all. Can we have an oh yeah moment where we all just kind of say that to each other? Like, let's do that. Like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Oh good lord.
Yeah.
Oh good lord. Hey there, Marge.
Oh goodness.
Oh goodness.
Hey there, Marge.
Oh man, it's cold out here. Awfully cold. That was cute.
But I mean, even on top of the Marge character, I mean, you've got like one of Kyle's favorite actors, William H. Macy's in this thing.
Oh yeah.
Great at playing the nervous guy.
Yeah. Well, that was the role the role he played in the 90s.
Yeah, like the movie The Cooler. Have you ever seen the movie The Cooler?
I haven't seen that actually.
It's a great concept. It's like about the most unlucky guy in the world, and like he goes to a casino for like he visits like Las Vegas, and anybody he walks by loses on their machine because
so he's
he's
hired by the casino to like make people lose.
I like that.
It's like he exudes his karma.
And then you've got Steve Buscemi in this being some crazy weird guy, as he was also in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, he was also in like every Coen Brothers movie of the 90s. And Frances McDormand is actually married to Joel Coen.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea about that.
Definitely, yeah. That's why. So she's in like all of their movies ever since their first movie, Blood Simple. She's a good movie.
She's fantastic. I was telling Alec that she's had such an array of characters. Like, because look at her character in Fargo versus Something's Gotta Give.
Yeah.
Fargo, she plays a very lovely Minnesotan wife, but cop, very intelligent cop. And then she plays this very hippie lesbian in Something's Gotta Give, who's the sister of Diane Keaton. Which is just a crazy variety.
Yeah, she hasn't got a lot of variety and stuff, and she's not in as much stuff anymore.
Like, it's weird. She does a lot. She does Olive Kittenridge. That's the show she does on HBO. And she's won a couple of Emmys.
Oh, okay.
Because of it.
All right.
I believe it's a show, unless if it's just a movie that they play constantly. But I think it's a show that she does, and she plays kind of a housewife in that, and she's phenomenal in that as well. She's just awesome.
William H. Macy. Someone was actually telling me that because he directed a movie that he filmed here in Oklahoma.
Rudderless.
Yeah. Someone was telling me to go go find that and watch it, that it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think one last thing I do have to mention with Fargo, and you watched it with me, and I think you remember this. It's like there are some absolutely gorgeous, picturesque scenes in that movie.
Oh, it's like a cinematographer's dream. The Coen brothers, that's like their specialty.
Yeah,
I'd say so. Yeah,
like when he's like William H. Macy's going back to his car, and you've got like the black squares, and it's all covered in snow.
Yeah,
stuff like that is all throughout this movie. And it's like, man, talk about absolutely gorgeous shots for these like epic scenes.
Well, you know,
that is
really the movie that made the put the Coen brothers on the map.
Yeah, I mean,
and by the way, you guys know at the beginning it said like this is a true story. Like,
we just changed the names for the sake of the people who were.
Yeah, that's
killed.
bullshit. It's not a true story. They just put that. They put that on the. They admit it. They just put it on the beginning of the movie to like add to like the effect of like this like weird story.
I think Alec was mentioning that to me because I was like, really? Like I remember this movie being really screwed up. Yeah, because that was actually the movie that Frances McDormand, she actually won Best Actress in a Leading Role.
Really?
And the Coen brothers won Best Writing and Screenplay. Yeah.
Okay, but not editing.
No, not editing, but they were nominated for Leave it going. No, leave it going.
Yeah, I'm looking for a Ricky Mendoza. Does he live here?
No.
Do you know who Ricky is?
No, I don't really know any of my neighbors.
Okay. There's a little silver Chevy Aveo parked just right around the corner, like on the end. And we got some information that we need to speak to him about, and that it's parked over there, but it doesn't check back to one, like Apple Creek, it checks back to somewhere in Oklahoma City. But it's his car, you know what I mean? But he hadn't updated his address. So I was hoping that I saw a light on, so either you or him or you knew who he was.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Recording a podcast.
Gotcha.
I'll
try this one.
We're in our little fort here.
By the way, I've just totally let this record that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. It's like
no, that's got to be some great,
Kyle,
unique podcast
You should
stuff.
have answered it like Fargo.
Oh, hey there.
I don't know any Ricky.
I don't know any Ricky. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure thing. You know. Oh, by the way, that's what I was talking about. Is when I was saying they were undeniably good at their job in Fargo. In that opening scene, after all the murders and all that kerfuffle goes down. Sorry, I don't know why that came to my mind, but I love it. Kerfuffle.
All this howdy-do.
All that happenings. She comes up and within about a minute and a half, looks at the scene, goes over to each body and goes, "Oh, he's a nice looking fella." And he goes, "Hey, what do you think there, Marge?" And she goes, "Oh, well, I think a couple of Russian fellas killed this cop over here, shot him in the head. And this one saw the scene, and they tried driving away, but he caught up with him, and he shot him in the head." Like, I was like, wow, she just nailed it.
Yeah, she did.
You know what I mean? Like, it just showed how good she was.
And I love, there's a line in there I loved that where he's like, "I have everybody out. I put out an APV on this on the license plate. It says like DLR." She's like, "Not sure that I agree with your police work there."
Yeah, it's like they're all so great. The only person who didn't make sense was the Asian guy.
That's a really... Oh, yeah. But, I mean, as far as, like...
That was a weird... You know, Coen Brothers like to have weird additions to their movies. And that Asian guy was, like, the one for that one. It's, like, this weird, like, kind of, like... I don't know.
Odd scene that kind of comes in and out and, like...
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of bearing on the real story.
You know what I thought? I was thinking about it the other day, actually, after we watched it, that I feel like the husband was aware of this guy, like of his obsession with that woman, and called him to call her to distract her while she was in town looking for him. You know what I mean? Because apparently those guys were, for some weird reason, it seemed like William H. Macy went from being the only person who was aware of this kidnapping to the father knowing, and his father's lawyer or assistant knowing.
His partner.
His partner knowing.
Yeah.
Because of the deal, because he was supposed to get money from the, kidnapping. I don't know.
I'll do it myself.
That guy was great, and he reminds me of my dad. Because he murders people. I'm just kidding. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah. So on that note, though, I wanted to talk just a brief minute to recommend the show. Because if you haven't seen the show is actually pretty exceptional for a TV show, especially on just like cable and stuff. You have a lot of the elements are there. Billy Bob Thornton plays the kind of enigmatic but strange hitman in the show, and then what's his name? The guy that plays Bilbo Baggins.
Let's think hard here, guys.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman, yeah. He plays the kind of like William H. Macy character. And it's not the same story, like by any means, but they see the same kind of characters are in it. And then you have this relatively unknown actress. I know she was nominated for an Emmy because she did really good, but she plays like the kind of unassuming police woman. So, really cool show. It's kind of basically taking the idea and themes of Fargo and just like stretching it out into longer. And it's kind of a limited show. I think there are only like 8 to 10 episodes in a season.
Yeah.
But a really, really engrossing story. So I would recommend that.
And just one last thing about it, at least from my end, was
the show or the movie?
The movie. Back to the movie. I just, it's weird. The first time I ever watched this movie, I was telling Alec that I saw it with really bad audio. For some weird reason, some of the sound effects weren't in it, and I stopped watching it like the first quarter of the way through. And I always, for like 10 years, had this terrible vision of it. Like, I was like, man, this thing just seems weird. It's got weird audio, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? And then when we watched it, I realized it was just the DVD or something screwed up. Like, it was illegally burnt onto a disc or something and had, like, a virus. And so, anyways, this movie completely won me over. Like, I had this negative image in my head for 10 years, and I'm a person who sticks to my guns when I've made up my mind, and it totally changed my mind. So, just goes to show you how good it is, because it defeated a 10-year grudge, which is hard for me. So.
You see, David, though? That's the magic of filmmaking.
Alex, hands on my shoulder. You can't see that.
You can't see it, but it's extremely uncomfortable.
Now it's on my crotch.
That's the magic of filmmaking.
Oh, shut the fuck.
You want to be a star, don't you?
The section.
So, for our next recommendation, David is going to take us on a trip, and so we can talk about Fear the Walking Dead. Kick it.
That's right. This is Rick Grimes. Carl. I was just kidding. Anyway, everyone's like, that's not the right show.
Not appearing in this film.
Yeah, I know. We've seen things. Stuff. These other people, they just don't get it. No, all right. So anyways, I woke up in a hospital and I was dehydrated. Anyway.
I stole all the candy bars. Don't tell Carl.
Oh, man. Okay. Now, Fear the Walking Dead actually aired on AMC on August 23rd, and it had record-breaking ratings for AMC, which is kind of surprising because it even beat The Walking Dead, which really did surprise me. Now, the only reason I feel like it actually did that was because The Walking Dead was so damn successful, and it has surpassed its viewership and ratings every single season. When it airs season 6 and here in a couple weeks, like on October 11th, that's probably going to have record-breaking ratings as well. Having said that, Fear the Walking Dead is basically taking The Walking Dead, reversing all the way back to the very, very beginning of whenever the apocalypse or crisis occurs. Now, The Walking Dead takes place in Atlanta, Georgia, but Fear the Walking Dead takes place in Los Angeles. And the reason they wanted to do that is because they wanted to show how quickly a problem like a zombie virus can escalate in a city that has millions and millions of people. Because Atlanta, Georgia, although it has millions, it doesn't have like 25 million people in the middle of Los Angeles.
Not to mention, which they do a good job of this, is they kind of establish that in a city like LA, because there's like homeless people, druggies, that kind of like...
It's a different vibe, completely.
That part of society is so overlooked that it spreads in that group so fast that by the time people are noticing something's wrong, it's like this thing is already erupting.
Yeah, they're already dead.
And
essentially.
We end up following a young man who's actually played by a young British actor. Now, that's an interesting thing about
I did not know that.
AMC's Walking Dead is that Rick Grimes, played by Andrew Lincoln, is also British. Now, he does such a good Southern Atlanta, Georgia accent that most people had no idea until he went to Comic-Con for the first time. It was like, I thought that my character, Rick Grimes, he's kind of struggling through this apocalypse. And people are like, is he doing a character? Like, they thought he was really this, Carl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they really thought he was like that because he did such a convincing job. Anyways, Frank Delane is he's about our age. And he's also a classically trained actor from London. Apologies. But we follow Frank Delane's character. His name on the show escapes me.
It is.
Yeah, go ahead and inform me.
Come on, magic computer in my hands, work faster.
He's got a tablet in his hand.
Nick Clark.
That's right, Nick. All right, now we follow the character Nick and his sort of experience. Now, he wakes up in sort of this horrific scene where everybody around him in this sort of drug den, like a heroin den, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think it's meth because it's Los Angeles, so it's a heroin den. And everybody seems passed out to us. Seemingly he's just waking up from being on a long trip. But he walks around and everybody is dead. Now, when we see everybody dead, we're not even sure what caused it. It could have been gang violence, who the hell knows, because... they're bloody on their face. We don't see any bites or anything like that.
No chewed bits.
Yeah, nothing like that. But he ends up finding this girl who he wakes up next to, who I guess is...
Well, no, he didn't wake up next to her. He was like, she was...
He fell asleep next to.
Yeah.
But he finds her in a different section of this abandoned church that's this part of this heroin den, and she's kind of hunched over this body, and this body's all bloody. And he's like... oh my God, we got to get out of here. And she turns around, and that's sort of like the season one Rick Grimes.
Alert, she's a zombie.
She's a zombie, yeah. Who would have thought? Now, he has what I think...
a walker.
Yeah, we don't call them that. We really need to stop.
No Z word.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I will say, I do admire that they try to avoid it, because there's a certain imagery that comes to mind and sort of... expectation that comes to mind when you say the word zombie. You know what I mean?
Very true. And I think it's also they have to separate themselves because, in the past 10 years we've just been saturated with zombie.
Yeah, and it's a unique
shows,
story.
Movies, video games,
and none of these stories, the whole Walker thing or the apocalypse is sort of just the backstory. You're following these characters and how they're living within that world. You're not really focusing on the dead or the undead. Those are merely incidental and sort of just obstacles that every character will have to face.
It's like they're almost a part of the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
They're a force. They're like a force of nature.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. It's like a constant thing that you just have to be aware of. You have to sleep with one eye open all the time, constantly be aware of it. But the brilliant part of, I thought, this first episode was the fact that this kid was a junkie. And the reasoning is because it goes to show you that in a big city, if something like that happened, there are people who would think that they are imagining things. Yeah. That it is totally in their head and they've just gone nuts. Because keep in mind, people nowadays say that they've seen a zombie or the bath salts. You remember the bath salts?
Yeah,
when people really were. They really were biting into people, and people thought that stuff was going to start. And they talked about how on these bath salts, cops would shoot at these people, and they wouldn't go down for 5 or 6 bullets, and they'd keep running because they just couldn't feel anything. Like PCP, they just couldn't feel anything. Now, another great part about this episode, or this series, is that they are taking real-life events, such as the bath salts thing, and they put it into the show and try to make it about walkers. So when it goes in Los Angeles, about a year ago, there was a homeless guy who was talking to the police and kept coming at them to ask them like questions, and he was kind of drunk and sort of disorderly and belligerent a bit. And they shot him, and he was so drunk that he really didn't go down for the first few shots, and they shot him in the head. Now, they incorporated that into the show as a real-life thing, to where they go, wow, and that way people didn't immediately assume it was zombies or walkers. They go, man, have you seen this video on YouTube of this homeless guy who wouldn't go down? Yeah. Which is something that we would really do.
Exactly. It's like no one would think, no one in the real world would be like, oh, it's clearly a zombie. Like, that's...
And unless, of course, they sort of do touch on the fact that there are people sort of like us who are a little bit dorkier, or who play zombie games, or like zombie culture.
Oh, yeah, that chubby comic book kid?
Well, that kid. What a terrible... I hope that guy
he comes
dies.
Into...
But they show a girl... Tobias, all right. But there's a girl who goes, kill shot, bitch, when she's watching a video of somebody getting shot in the head. Which is stupid, but also very realistic. There's somebody who would say something like that and be that obnoxious and kind of pompous about it. But anyways, we sort of just follow this guy's journey through discovering that there is something wrong. And all these problems that happen to be going wrong in Los Angeles are connected somehow. Although people are slow to realize it, that he's actually correct. It's not just coming from this junkie who's unaware and is kind of out of it, and he's just spouting crazy nonsense because he's coming down from a bender. It's... Yeah, I noticed something was weird too, even though he might have been high when he saw what he saw. It wasn't all in his head.
Yeah.
But it's great to see how crazy this guy thinks he is, because he goes like, if that wasn't real, he says in the show to somebody, if I saw what I saw, that's terrifying. But if it wasn't even there and I saw what I saw, that means that's in my own head.
And that frightens me more.
And that terrifies him more, because it means that he's gone insane. And that would happen to people. People who... Imagine... Keep in mind, people, that in an apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse... I have to use the word. The zombie apocalypse. There are people in hospitals who have schizophrenia. There are people who hear voices in their head, who hallucinate things. There are druggies, and there are people who would totally not believe what they're seeing is real. There are people who do hit and runs. They hit somebody who's stumbling in the middle of the street, so they might not even think it would be a zombie. They just thought it was a drunk guy that they hit with their car, and then they ran. And then they go back to find the body, and the body's not there. So apparently the crime never happened.
Yeah.
So it's completely like, a total, like, what the fuck? Like, your reality gets turned on its head. Everything that you're used to is no longer the same. You're used to people dying and being dead, and seeing the body and seeing the crime. But if they die and then they're gone, did somebody drag them away? Did I imagine it? Did I steal this guy's car and end up in the bottom of this Los Angeles ravine by myself?
Yeah.
When I was tweaking and I just snapped out of it? And that Frank Delane guy, he has an amazing ability to show multiple emotions at once, and to show how terrified he is of his own mind. Because remember when he doesn't see the body there, and he cries and he like hugs his mother? He like is convulsing. He's so terrified.
Yeah.
And then he just gets right back into the car and he's just completely numb. Like, this is who I am. I'm a crazy person. And then is proven right, like, immediately after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, he's still terrified, because he's like, but now is everybody crazy, or am I just crazy? Like, he's totally far gone. Sorry about that.
I will say this, and this is something off of episode 2, which Kyle has not seen, and I'm going to throw up spoilers, because it's my one issue with the start of this season that I'm kind of like, I don't want it to keep going in this direction.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to know about this in episode 2,
hit pause.
Jump ahead to when we start talking about Show Me a Hero. Or at least a little bit ahead. So spoilers, here we go now. So at the end of episode 2, the mom character, Madison,
mm-hmm.
she, like, it's like, remember that guy that was sick And then at the end, you see his zombies going across the street to that other mother, putting the bounce house apart.
Mm-hmm.
And the daughter's like, oh, we got to help her because she's out there screaming, being attacked. And the mother just, like, closes the door and won't let her out. That was something I was like, that doesn't... Why? You know? It's like, you're like, why is... She's just not going to do anything? I just one of those things that bugged me. It's like... You can't tell me that these people who, like, she just was, like, running around trying to save save her son, and then she saved the one kid and gave him back his knife and stuff and did all this crap, and then when someone else needs help against one guy, she can't even fucking, like, open the door, you know?
Yeah, she's too quick to accept it after not accepting it for the entire first episode.
Yeah.
And it's not just the first episode. You have to keep in mind that within that storyline, this has been like a week or two that this has been going on. And it goes from being 2 weeks of going, he's crazy, he's a druggie, I don't even know if I want him to come home.
Yeah.
To, give me that fire hydrant, I'm going to beat this thing over the head, it must be dead.
No, and then it cuts to... There's a lady screaming, our neighbor who knows us, screaming outside, and I'm blocking the door like there's fucking 30 zombies out there. It's like she jumps automatically to like Rick Grimes territory of like, oh, we can't help him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something I just like, that was such a... I'm like, don't do that. That I really don't want that to be a running thing in this show.
I don't think it will be. Here's the problem with it, is that they even said... that the shit will have to hit the fan very quickly because the first season is only 6 episodes. And when it's only 6 episodes, because the first episode is like an hour and a half, and the last episode will be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So you're basically it's like 8. But when it's that short, and the fact that The Walking Dead will already be coming out here in a couple of weeks, they have to, at least by episode 3 or 4, by the time The Walking Dead starts, the shit has to have hit the fan. They have to know what is going on, at least to some extent, to where they know, we got to get the hell out of Dodge here. We can't stay here. And what I'm curious to see is if they will leave Los Angeles. Because the whole point is that, it takes place in Los Angeles, but just like with The Walking Dead, this isn't spoiling anything, they have to be very nomadic. You have to avoid these things, so you have to travel. You got to go to D.C., you got to go to New York, you got to try to get to some other place than where you are because you can never sit still for longer than a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I do hope for that, too. It's just that whole thing of, like, she's, like, immediately willing to just sacrifice people and listen to them scream outside after, like... She's only been, like, she doesn't even truly believe in the zombies. She just knows one attacked the kid at one point. It's just... That's something I'm like, let's not make this a running thing of like, we've got to abandon everything right now, even though it's like, and if like the dad came home the next episode and had like 40 guns, I was like, I raided the gun store. I'd be like, really? We're just down for this. Like, society has not even broken down. It's not like, this lady was like across the street and there's no cops anymore and stuff, and society, like, there's no power anymore. They still have running water and power and police and firemen and stuff. That's something that just bugged me so much. It's like society hasn't broken down yet. The riots have started, but everything's still functioning,
Yeah.
Argumentatively, nothing could be happening in whole pockets of the country. There could be no problems going on.
Yeah, and
so it's just like, I feel this is really stupid that they're like, oh no, this gal is totally ready to abandon everyone that is not her immediate family. Fuck them. She's got to protect her junkie son.
Yeah, well, I hope that they go more along the lines, at least for the remainder of the season. I know, or sorry, not the remainder of this season. Shit has to hit the fan. We already established that. But in the next season, I would like to see more of a sort of Contagion almost vibe to it.
Yeah.
To where it's like doctors trying to analyze what the hell is going on. We had a patient that kept trying to come at us. Why is he doing that? And also, these bodies in the morgue are coming back to life. What the hell is going on here? Because people who have seen The Walking Dead know a very specific thing that happens within the zombie context.
Yeah, with the lore.
Okay? And I don't want to spoil that for anybody who might not know. But the people who do know, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I mean people in the morgue coming alive, coming back to life. And because you have to imagine that within a hospital context, if a lot of people are flooding into a hospital, the hospitals would be the first to go.
Yeah.
Because that would be the epicenter for all these illnesses. And that would also make it extremely confusing as to what it is, because if you have hundreds and hundreds and maybe even thousands of sick people in one place and this thing starts spreading, you don't know what caused it to spread. Yeah. You don't know which illness it might be or what it might be. Maybe it's in the water. Who the hell knows?
I would say kind of what you're talking about, like the best thing for this would be if they try to make it more about these people trying to hold on to society rather than just say, fuck it, we're warriors of the wasteland now. Yesterday we were watching TV. Today we are now Mad Max Road Warrior.
I haven't seen the second episode of the show, but something I've just from watching lots of TV, there might be a big payoff for that. For she closes the door and eventually she feels bad about it and it affects her in a different way in the future. So that's something to think about.
Like the delayed reaction, because, I mean, keep in mind, like I said, a lot of people would be in shock. They wouldn't believe their eyes or their ears, and just like what's going on today. For example, if you just took everything that's happened this year and the zombie apocalypse was going on, these mass shootings you hear about.
Yeah.
I know. Well, it might be slightly kind of tongue-in-cheek sort of an example, a little hard to swallow, but I'm just saying the show does do that. The show has a newspaper clipping in the first episode that says people shot at Sandy Hook and stuff like that, and totally references these mass shootings as being possibly related to this breakout.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's an interesting way of using it, and it makes it more relevant because they jumped the gun by making a spin-off series while the main series is still going.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to realize that. What they should do is if they get good ratings, they should hold off, let The Walking Dead finish a couple more seasons, and then come back, maybe as The Walking Dead is sort of winding to a close where people are like kind of wanting more and hoping it doesn't end. So as one is ending, another one is beginning. But the other one is middling. It's not coming to an end. They're planning on it going probably at least 8 seasons. We're starting season 6. You're jumping way into early. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
The whistle wasn't blown for everybody to get in the pool. So it's... I hope they don't try to catch up too much, like you said, with the whole Rick Grimes territory, just because they feel like they have to. I'm like, take your time with it. Let people savor it. But also, cut out the bullshit. There was a lot of bullshit that was unnecessary in the first episode that was just filler that didn't need to be there. Characters that were introduced and then didn't show up later and all that stuff, you could have easily avoided that. And you could have made a lot more happen in that hour and a half without having to make it so confusing to people.
Yep.
So.
Well, I think we're about done with this for 2 episodes worth of content. I think we've talked it down. Any last thoughts, gentlemen?
No.
I'm gonna keep watching it.
Yeah, me too.
Especially if it's only 6 episodes. That means I kind of like the shows that are just like short seasons.
Mm-hmm.
The story kind of comes to a head quicker.
High quality,
like you were
short
saying,
seasons.
like you were saying, not so much like filler and things like that makes it.
Well, the second episode, even though, once you see it, Kyle, and anybody who does see it, the third episode's airing tonight. Like, as we're doing this right now, it's airing right now.
Yeah.
So, we're definitely missing something, but when we get caught up, each of these episodes is going to be filled more with valuable information that is crucial.
Definitely.
So, first episode of Walking Dead was slow, but it finished strong, and I think that's what this show is trying to duplicate. It's just a little bit harder because, you're starting at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
No Norman Reedus.
Yeah, no Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
They should have gotten the other guy from the Boondock Saints. They should have been like, you know what we're going to do? We'll show you guys what's what.
Alrighty. So, that'll lead us to our final recommendation. Kyle, you want to introduce this one?
All right, so this happened, guys. There was a miniseries that premiered on HBO. Did not get a lot of marketing, for some odd reason. I guess I guess a lot of the miniseries that they air on HBO don't get as much marketing as, say, like True Detective, which was like everywhere and then ended up not being all that great. But if you were disappointed by True Detective, there's a show of a miniseries of very high quality that HBO just aired called Show Me a Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Come from the creators of The Wire, starring Oscar Isaac, Winona Ryder, just to name a few that I can name.
What was the guy's name who played Doc Ock?
Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina, yeah. And also, so you said, well, Walking Dead, but John Bernthal is also in this series in kind of a bit role.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also kind of like Alec, probably you got Alec, is like, it's hard to just like explain what this show is about and make it sound appealing in any way.
I mean, I could take a stab. But
yeah, knock yourself out, man.
Well, I mean, Alec and I just got done watching this. This is like the first time I think I really actually tried doing my homework with you guys. As far as, I mean, I sat and watched the movie Fargo. I had you guys watch Fear the Walking Dead, and we sat through the entire miniseries.
Yeah, and I did.
And I really enjoyed it. And to sort of summarize it, it's sort of totally based on a true story, and it's a social political commentary based in the mid to late 1980s and early 1990s about becoming the mayor of Yonkers in New York, and sort of the trials and tribulations within that amongst these people and the issues that they were facing.
Really, the appeal of this, and I kind of, best way I can describe it, the appeal of this is it takes the political drama, that like the feeling and tones and themes that you would find in a show like House of Cards, but instead takes all that drama and puts it in this very, very tiny government structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like local city government for just,
instead of debating
Yonkers is not a big city.
Instead of debating the bill in Congress that's going to change everything, they're debating a housing bill.
Yeah, they're talking public housing. I think it's important to mention that a lot of it is based around this issue of low-income housing in the city of Yonkers, which at the beginning of the series, all of the public housing is concentrated into one spot in the city, and that is causing a lot of de facto segregation. And until a Judge Sands, I don't remember his first name, but Judge Sands declares it illegal and orders the city of Yonkers to build public housing on the other side of town as well, in order to desegregate the city. So, and as you can imagine, being a young politician trying to earn his wings, Nick Wasisco has to tackle this issue head on, and it ends up costing him.
Yeah, and Nick Wasisco, of course, played by Oscar Isaac, who, honestly, as an actor, I've always enjoyed. Like, from the moment I saw him in Drive, which really is what made him, he's popping up all over the place. I mean, he's going to be in X-Men Apocalypse as Apocalypse.
I don't know if you guys saw Ex Machina, but that was probably definitely on my top 10 of the year so far. But he had a great role in Ex Machina. He's going to be in Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's such a
Inside
versatile
Llewyn
man.
Davis.
Yeah,
that's where I first saw him in, and
I loved him in that.
I thought he was great. Yeah, he was fantastic.
And he's one of the most ethnically ambiguous actors I think that has ever existed, because he could be Arabic, he could be Italian, Spanish, or just a normal kind of guy.
I watched this maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, but the Ridley Scott Robin Hood with Russell Crowe. He plays in English. He plays Prince John. Did you remember the marketing of the movie where it's like Oscar Isaac going, "I declare him to be an outlaw." Like that.
That's him.
Yeah, it's him. Yeah, really. He's like way skinnier in that. But yeah,
that's probably why. Yeah. Wow. See. Yeah, he chooses such an array of characters, and I think that's why he gets so many different, unique characters, is because he has such an interesting look, and he's very good at being able to change his voice and his accent very subtly but effectively.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
he never overdoes it. There are some people who really overdo it with their
Definitely.
accents.
Oh yeah.
You know, someone even like, you know, if you were to compare him to like Colin Farrell, right?
Yeah.
When Colin Farrell is Irish.
Yeah.
But when he was asked to play an Irish guy, he sounded like a friggin' leprechaun. You know what I mean? It's like, you just got to talk like you. You know, you just got to go, yes, I was talking to the authorities. I mean, but rather than doing that, he's like, I was talking to the authorities. Tighty. Yeah, I know. Oh, potatoes and a bag of chips. You know, like, it was just like, what
no, he totally does that.
Yeah, but Oscar Isaac, he's
So
phenomenal.
back to Oscar Isaac, who is awesome.
And he, at first, what is his role, Kyle, when he first starts out, when we first catch up to the series? We start out, what is his role in the city government?
He's a city councilman.
All right.
For sure. He's on the council.
And the guy who was running, do you happen to remember the guy who was the mayor at the time?
Angelo.
Yeah,
D'Angelo.
Yep.
And D'Angelo is actually played by Jim Belushi.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, perfect role for Jim Belushi.
He did. Yeah,
he nailed it. I mean, because it's a guy who, he's not an asshole, but he's just kind of one of these guys who's sort of priggish. And
it's like he's been in this game for a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
he's gotten comfortable in the chair that he sits in.
He's gotten a little bit jaded, I think, by the whole thing. You know, when they're talking about like, oh, you know, well, you were just on the wrong side of the issue. It's like you should have voted for the housing. He's like, well, it would have been pointless.
You know, I would equate him to a guy like on a sports team, right, who is on it for a really, really long time, and he gets used to being there. And then some younger guy who's more into it, you know, more driven, wants it more, kind of comes in and sort of just takes his place. And without, you know, and the older guy doesn't really put up a fight because he kind of realizes, like, yeah, you know, what are you going to do? I'm not this young. I can't do this forever. It had to come to an end at some point. But within this storyline, I actually really enjoy it due to the fact that it kind of shows how serious people take their jobs, even at the local level of government.
Definitely.
And how crucial it is for people to obtain power or have the illusion of power, even at that small level.
They're addicted to it.
Yeah, it's like you can't get enough of it. And once you get a taste of the respect that you get and the power that you have, you know, even if it's something as simple as getting a better table at a restaurant, you're like, this was why I do this. And once you get a taste of it, you want more. Because he saw things in Mayor D'Angelo that he envied, that he had this much pull over things, but he didn't have the drive, a young man's drive to get them done.
Yeah.
He wanted to change things, but he really didn't have the efficiency or mental capacity to do it. Like, not anymore.
Yeah.
Because I think at the time he was like 6 terms in or something like that. They said that, which means that he was mayor for 12 years. Which is a long time to hold political office.
Yeah.
I mean, even for a senator, that would be a long time.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
2 terms as a senator. So these people had gotten used to this guy, and they almost hadn't even realized how they had gotten used to a guy who was sort of a substandard politician. Like, oh, yeah, well, he tries his hardest, but, you know,
he's around.
He's an old dog. You can't teach him any new tricks, but hey, you love him, right? Because he's your dog.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But then Oscar Isaac plays the young pup. He's the new kid in town, and I think that's kind of cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it was weird. It, like, almost motivated me while watching it. Like, I want to join the local council just so I can get some shit changed.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, just even to get
to a certain extent, I mean, it didn't really work out for Nick Wasisco.
Well, no, I mean, but that's because he cared about it almost too much, and there is such a thing.
I'll go ahead and talk about something that we haven't talked about yet. Is that throughout the course of this public housing debate and this kind of fight for and against the movement of this public housing, there are several characters who it takes the time to go through several characters who live in this public housing.
Yeah,
and the kind of lives they live and the different backgrounds they have, that I think it adds so much more weight to what's going on in these council meetings, because, you know, you see that these politicians kind of fighting over petty like differences, but then over on the other hand, you have this Hispanic lady with a family who's genuinely struggling to raise her family in a area that's just so bad.
Yeah, and I did like, and Alec and I enjoyed the fact that they kind of did cover all their bases, but this show, if I were to have any slight complaint, would be that they did have characters they introduced, but then they never really developed their plot, their subplots.
It's kind of like a thing I think something they tend to do in like historical based kinds of things. It's like they'll bring up these characters for the point of like, well, we can't like leave
gloss
them out,
over that guy.
But at the same time, it's not really good from a storytelling standpoint because, you said, you introduce him and then it never goes anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even talking about, because I will say this, I differ a little bit from you as far as the extra character stories, because I felt what would have been better was less characters, more like focus more on the like. Less people in this public housing, and let's focus on like some of the better characters in this story. Because it's like towards the end there, you're dealing with like 5 or 6 different people who are moving into this public housing, who are dealing on the ground level besides the political stuff. And for a lot of them, I was just like, I really don't care that much. Yeah. I mean, David's favorite character. Let me look up his name.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
The cool guy.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
The cool guy.
I'll have to say before you're looking that up.
This guy...
I just say I disagree with you, though, Alec, because, maybe it's just difference of opinion, but, a lot of those stories were very gripping to me, but... John Santos.
Well, that guy, he's the human equivalent of a sigh.
Yeah.
Okay? He really is just like he comes on the screen and you're like, oh, God, not again.
Like, smoke a cigarette.
Like, like when the food goes down the wrong pipe and you cough and you get really, like I did earlier. Well, you know what I mean? Like, he's the human equivalent of that.
It's like it's in the movies, like when he shows up, you can take the bathroom break.
I know. Am I off base in saying that that was like just a really poor performance on that guy?
No, you're not.
No.
And that guy's part? Like,
him and the girl. Who's the girl? Who's the girl?
The girl, she is Billy...
Big Lips McGee?
Billy Rowan. Played by... the actress is Dominique Fishback.
What a great name. Not a great actress, great name.
Is Fishback.
Yeah, that kind of... I could see how, like, as characters like that, it was like... These kind of bad performances are kind of like bringing down the show as a whole in a way. Not too bad, but every time John Santos is on the screen, you're just like, oh my God. Like,
it's a facepalm moment because he, like I was telling you guys before when we were talking before the podcast. Yeah. He has a moment. I don't care if it doesn't spoil anything. No. It really doesn't. You won't care even when you see it.
I think it's it may be a new show, but all this stuff actually happened like 20 years ago.
And guess what? Your parents.
If you want to know what happened to Nick Wasisco, you can just like look it up on his Wikipedia page because he was an actual dude. So,
I'll say this: as far as the realism of the story being told. They did just like Argo did. They got actors that very much looked like the actual people, regardless if those people were interesting or not.
Yeah.
Or interesting characters. They just put them in there because they go, look, this guy was a key element. In getting this housing bill passed, we can't skip over him because he was the determining vote. But here's the thing. When Nick Wasisco wins mayor, spoiler... it happens really quick. It's very fast. Like not even
it's like the end
halfway.
It's the end of the first episode. That's right. I remember now.
Yeah, and out of a 6-part miniseries. So when he wins on the screen, it shows the other people who he was running against, but we never really saw them debate or speak or anything like that, which I thought was better storytelling because we got to focus on the interesting one. We got to focus on Nick Wasisco and his winning it, not other people losing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely.
And later on, though, since he was already established as the mayor, or already his character had been established, they felt the need, I think, to bring more characters in. But it's like, you could have told that same story with a couple characters less and nothing else would have been affected. As far as it wouldn't have affected Nick's storyline one iota. He didn't meet these characters. He never interacts with them. Like, he really isn't aware of their existence.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of them, he is, because, not to spoil it again, but towards the end, he goes knocking door to door on some of these, new housing that he had approved of when he was mayor. And he knocks on the door and he sees some of these characters that you've been wondering why they're even relevant. In a scene in which it's like, it looks like he's trying to see what he even sacrificed all his time for. He's just trying to see the fruits of his labor.
Yeah.
And he doesn't explain it very well to people. They don't understand why he's even there. Even the characters within the show go, "What? Who the fuck are you? Why are you talking to us?"
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? We should have been saying that about them. Why is he talking to you? Like, you're not interesting, and if this really happened, I don't think it did. I think that's total literary license.
Oh, the knocking door to door?
Yeah, that's got to be literary license. That's got to be, we need 3 more minutes of filler.
They needed an excuse to be like, oh, look, now these two characters are finally going to meet, it basically was an excuse to have him talk to the blind woman.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Some of the actor choices that they made were terrible. Now, the main characters, like the 5 or 6 main ones that we see, was it his brother Mike, I think? Mike Wasisco is, who has got these big glasses, looks nothing like Oscar Isaac. And oddly enough, I don't think they showed him in the credits.
No, they didn't show.
Which is weird.
I was wondering that when you guys were watching it, and I was like, oh, wow, they don't really show him. And you know what was another one they didn't show in the credits I thought was weird? But his, campaign manager, that goes to the other guy.
Yeah.
Like, he was kind of a big character, a crucial character in the show.
That means that they made him up. That means,
you think so?
Here's the thing. When they make up a character, what they usually, or when a character's not shown at the end of based on a true story, it's because they usually combined 2 characters.
Oh, you're right.
So he probably was, the real person probably a woman and another man. And they couldn't incorporate that story within the time frame because it would have added far too many episodes. And
We needed time for John Santos.
Yeah, I know.
Which I
right?
kind of figured that out just now, but.
And he's got to be a combination of multiple people too.
What I'm thinking that the whole reason they put that whole thing in there, because that doesn't actually come about until I think 3 episodes in, because at the end it sparks this debate because he gets arrested and they're gonna kick her out, and it's kind of sparks this debate within the people that are trying to push this housing debate through. And that's that kind of sucks because it's like, oh, okay, we had to sit through all this storyline of this, because they already had a struggling.
They didn't know how to finish
had
it.
the young struggling single mother, and I think they purely just threw that in just so that at the end it could. It's part of this debate, but we had to sit through these poor
because it's they pretty much don't even show that. They just show one time that the character mentions, "Oh, I'm fighting against getting kicked out," and then we never see her again until the end, where they say, "Oh yeah,
she got kicked out.
She was kicked out 2 years later."
Yeah, well, no, there's I can't remember what it was, some kind of meeting they were in, and Mary Dorman is there, and they're talking about it. She's not actually. None of the people involved are actually there, but they're all talking about her.
After that meeting, the girl goes to the
house. I remember.
And then Billy's doing petitions.
They mentioned it a couple times, I think. It was kind of a big thing throughout that kind of last episode. But it's we had to sit through 3 episodes of their storyline just to get that, and that's not a very good payoff because John said that. That's all that took me out of it so much. When he walks in, he's like, girl, you messing with my mind.
Yeah, he's
like,
terrible.
Oh my god.
Well, also, hold on, I'm taking a look really quick at some of the characters in it. Peter, I guess, Riker.
Peter Riker, yeah.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job, and he looked weird as fucking that. But,
Yeah. This beard.
Yeah, but I think that's his real facial hair. They just had him shave off the top. Because it was just too bizarre.
Although he was a spitting image of the real guy.
So, Catherine Kenner, who plays Mary Dorman. Now, she did a phenomenal job of, one, playing an older woman, like a lot older than her age. And because she's such a character that I think when people are used to seeing her, when they realize that it's her from 40-Year-Old Virgin, the woman that Steve Carell falls in love with, they go, wow, that's a lot different of a character than she's used to playing. She's usually kind of playing the hot,
hot older woman.
Hippie-ish sort of lady. And this one, she's playing an ultra-conservative, frumpy older woman. By the looks of it, she even gained weight to play the role, to do it, because she doesn't look the way she does in that now. She's a very beautiful older woman. But the scene with Mr. and Mrs. Dorman, when they're talking with each other, are useless.
It just makes that. It's just like, was her husband just like this grade A moron? Like,
here's what you do. Here's what you do to fix that problem. Anytime they cut to them when they're having a discussion on the couch while watching TV, husband's in the kitchen messing with something or fixing a car, and she's glued to the television going, what the fuck is going on in our neighborhood? To where it shows that she has the interest. She's the one who actually gives a crap, and the husband is pointless. Because his character does nothing, and I guarantee you he wasn't in the credits because that part was probably also made up. I think that the discussions between them didn't ever happen.
I'd say that the husband probably was a real person, but he
probably agreed with her on everything, and
he had no bearing on
if the one dude was a Psy, then he was like this. The husband was the equivalent of oh yeah.
The husband was an equivalent of that neighbor, like while you're in the middle of doing a podcast, who taps on the wall with a broom and goes, "Hey, keep it down there." That's what this guy was.
Like the equivalent of the police knocking
it's pretty
on
much
your
just
door
like
in the middle
it's
of
like,
a
oh
podcast.
fuck you. It's like, get out of here with that. Like, we're trying to do something, but all in all, I think, if I were to rate the show out of 10, I would probably give it like an 8.2 or something like that. I thought it was very good. For a miniseries, it was definitely captivating. It made you interested in things that you never thought you would be interested in.
Exactly. It's such it was very, very original idea. It's based off a book. I saw that at the end of the credits. It's based on which that's always what it when you have these things that are like these crazy idea for a show or movie. It's always based off a book.
And also, this is another thing that really got me was that a few years ago, if I had watched this when I was 18 or 19, if let's say it came out then, I would not have appreciated it. I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I know it for a fact. I would have thought, this is bullshit. That doesn't really happen. Who really cares? It's politics, blah. But as the years have gone on and you start, encountering more of this stuff yourself, paying for your own rent, finishing up school, being these characters' ages, seeing some of your friends have kids when they didn't expect to have kids and struggling with it, struggling with low-income housing, struggling with welfare, struggling with Section 8. We're all pretty much familiar with Section 8 housing, which is low-income housing meant for people on welfare, unemployment, or even the homeless in some cases. It's just become more and more relevant because things are starting to apply to you more. Same thing when you get a job and you see how much government taxes your paycheck, that you start having an interest. And when politicians go, we should be taxed less, you're like, yes, finally. I never thought I would be watching somebody and going, yeah, Bernie Sanders, hell yeah, Bernie Sanders, you go Bernie Sanders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd give two shits if Donald Trump ran for president. It didn't bother me one iota. But now it's it's relevant in our lives.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
And, on the topic of relevance, in this, especially this year, there's been a lot of, problems between the racial relations in this country. And especially the Mary Dorman character, I think this was very, very relevant.
I think it was just lovely in every single way. How about you, Mark?
No, I would still give it. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I liked it. But I will say it's also because it kind of falls in my wheelhouse of the things I kind of just like political dramas and it's like
because you guys love House of Cards.
Exactly.
And that's
exactly.
why I think it's right in that realm. I only brought it down to an 8.2 because of the unnecessary actors and the bad acting on those unnecessary actors.
That's really what. Yeah, the only thing that keeps it.
Other than that, I love it.
I think I would rate it a -8 John Santos out of John Santos.
John, look, I'm not even gonna call him by his name.
It's a -8 John Santos.
The cool guy.
Oh God.
I like
See what I mean? Like, just
yeah, girl.
When you talk about life relevance, I just think, man, all the John Santos I know in my life.
Talk about John popping Santos, my mental balloon. I mean, that guy just is a. Oh God, he's like a bag of wet sand.
John Santos needs to meet Marge Gunderson.
He'd be like, "Whoa, girl, you're breaking my mind.
You're breaking my mind.
You're gonna kill something that we made." You're gonna kill something that we made? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I am. It's not your right. It's not your God-given right.
It would do him good because then he'd get a lecture from Marge in the police car.
No, she would just go. Why'd you do it? I don't understand. I don't understand why'd you did it.
I don't understand why you did it.
All for a little money.
All for a little money. That's
and now you're going to get your girlfriend kicked out of her house.
You done got her kicked out of her house. Now me and my delightful husband will have to have her move in. Now that's what would have happened in that scenario. Oh, so all the Walking Dead fans, by the way, just a random tangent. I finally got my parents to start watching it. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, 2 65-year-old white doctors watching The Walking Dead. I never thought that I was doing it. And they even talked about it once when they were eating dinner. My dad's like, I don't know about that Shane guy.
I don't know. He seems like a bad egg.
Yeah, I don't really trust him. You know what I mean?
You shouldn't hang out with him, Dave.
He's got an anger problem.
All right, so I think we've
BCU.
I think we've finished up for this episode. So final thoughts, Kyle. You start.
You know what? We didn't really talk about this at all, but this is a really, really boring part of the year for movies. So I'm happy we had some fun things to talk about here.
We had some laughs.
We did.
Because I've been kind of just going to see movies to review. It's like, oh my god, We Are Your Friends, which is like this. Oh my god,
yeah.
So I think watching these things that we talked about was kind of the highlight of my week. So for sure.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it for a couple weeks now. And also I enjoyed the fact that, I had no intent of watching this miniseries and really didn't even know about its existence. When I heard it was called Show Me a Hero, I was like, this is going to be some lame show, but, it captured my interest more than I thought it would.
The only reason I knew about it is because I read about it in Entertainment Weekly. It was one of those articles in a magazine that's a couple inches tall, right down there, but it had all the people that were in it.
You should check it out, all right?
Yeah, they had all the Oscar Isaac, all these Jim Belushi. It's all these names. I was like, well, I have to see this sometime.
But by the way, fuck Winona Ryder. What a terrible actress in this thing. Talk about a miscast. She didn't look like the lady. She didn't sound like a normal person. Her accent was different 3 different times. And it's like she forgot she had to go to set each time she showed up on screen. It's like, yeah, remember you got to play a drunk lady. Well, then give me a bottle, because my character can only be seen with a bottle in her hand and a glass.
I try not to be too mean, but I think at this point, Winona Ryder's career is completely based off of favors. So
yeah, but
take with that what you will, because anytime she's in anything lately, it's like. Yeah.
You know that scene in Mr. Deeds where he goes you make more money than I do. What did you spend it on? And she goes, shoes. That's what her entire performance felt like throughout this entire miniseries. Was just a lame answer to various questions. That's all it was. It's just think I should run for mayor? You know what I would do? Oh my God! Can we just fast forward through the thing? I'd rather see John Santos.
Yo, girl.
Yo, girl. Anyways,
I think I'm gonna kiss you.
You want to make another baby? Anyways, sorry, Alec.
Let's make another. That was funny. She's like, let's make another baby, and then they did it.
Instantaneously.
Like, oh God, yeah, yeah. He was.
Oh yeah. By the way, time is irrelevant in the land.
That was gonna be my thought.
They had trouble.
Go for it, Alex.
It's
Say
like
this. This is great.
With this show me a hero. No one, like, time is relative, as Einstein put it. And especially in this series. You have
time is even more relative in public
John
housing.
Santos never aged. He and his wife, girlfriend, never aged, and they both look like high school kids the entire time. Whereas their baby goes from an infant and then in a year is
an
like,
adult.
Has a full afro, and is walking and talking.
They're going to the same high school by the end of the series.
The kid multiplied. There was like 3 of them.
I will say this though: the only thing that redeemed children in that thing was the little black kid who talks to some poodles.
The poodles, poodle lady.
He's like,
I love when he goes,
lady.
I love when he goes, bye poodle lady. Then he goes, bye poodles.
I was like, oh,
too damn adorable. Like,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that's what saved it. But Alec and I, not children lovers at all, and we see these kids, and the whole time we're like, geez, how many of these terrible acting kids are they gonna have?
Well, children are already not. I mean, I'm kind of in that camp to where like it's extremely rare that there's a good child actor.
Yeah,
and HBO will never get them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, especially in a miniseries, there's no point in getting a great one.
No one knows about you. So.
Yeah, but yeah, bye. I think we can all just sum up the episode with bye, poodle lady.
Bye, poodle lady.
Bye, poodles.
Bye, poodles.
What an adorable kid.
I'm just thinking of the joke earlier. Get out of the oyster restaurant!
You gotta explain that more.
I was referencing these two. One of the black ladies, the blind black lady in the series, her daughter makes her go to this seafood restaurant. And my thought was to the Bill Burr joke about, like, the racist in every, like, African-American sports movie.
All these white people are evil movies.
Get out of the oyster restaurant!
Yeah, get out of the pool!
Get out of the pool!
My daughter's not playing ping pong!
Yeah.
They were the first all-black swim team. Get out of the pool!
Oh my god!
Oh man, yeah, get out of the
I'm sorry,
oyster
with that
shop.
series, my final thought is that series, besides the time thing, like, the white people were so silly. Like, it was that...
Well, that was the point. It was the
Yeah.
point was this, like, you know, these are the lengths that people will go for, like, I mean, essentially, like, what would you call that? Subversive racism? So.
Yeah, you know what's weird is I think what they were trying to portray was that these people are not inherently racist, like if they go to a supermarket, but only when black people start moving into their neighborhood are they just like 1950s,
Yeah,
let's lynch them type people. You know what I mean? Like they are totally these weird bigoted. Like it's like only when it directly is affecting them, or not even directly affecting them, but when they have to see it all the time. You know what? I'm okay with black people, but there's just so many of them in our neighborhood. It's like,
actually,
you know what I mean?
I was thinking, my first thought earlier on for this review was when we were talking about it. My first comment, I forgot this until now, was gonna be like, my thoughts on Show Me a Hero. Awful lot of black people.
Oh, I didn't want to say anything.
I don't want to be that guy right now, but
there were a lot.
There were a lot of them.
I mean, talk about a BrownCast Ultra. Sorry.
All right. So, if you got to the end of this, actually, this is one of the better episodes, guys.
Show me
Definitely
a
one of the better
BrownCast.
episodes of BrownCast Ultra. Show me the BrownCast.
Show me the BrownCast.
I'll show you.
BrownCast
I'll show you
Ultra.
my BrownCast. Anyway, so
John Santos.
Thank you for listening. If you have any kind of questions, comments, or critique, be sure to leave comments down at the bottom of this YouTube page and to email us at browncastultra@gmail.com. I love reading all of your emails. I don't really get any, but if I do, I would love to read them.
Oh,
we love hearing the opinions of our fans.
And if you feel like you're a John Santos, then call our 1-800 John Santos hotline and don't make any babies.
If you want us to get out of the pool, you can send us an email.
Absolutely.
And we might do it. That's going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening. I'm Kyle.
I'm Alec.
Special guest,
David Grayson.
John Santos.
John Santos.
Yo, girl.
Oh, hey there, you guys. I really
BrownCast
appreciate you
Ultra.
letting me
BrownCast
onto the
Ultra.
show, you know.
All right.
Racism.
Is that it? Are we going to stop it?